Hi, my name's Lee Pemberton, and today's masterclass is focusing on maximising your revenue. Now, we're going into the quiet season, so it's really important that you focus in on your revenue. And there are a number of tips that I want to share with you now. In fact, 10 tips in total that I recommend that you get your pad and your pen out and you write these down and you just bring these in as part of your daily strategy, your daily marketing strategy on promoting your service accommodation or boutique smart hotel business. So tip number one is quite simple. Focus on the hospitals. Your local hospital is going to have an influx, sadly, of more people, more patients coming in as we go into the winter season. They will therefore need more doctors and more nurses. Those doctors and nurses are going to need somewhere to stay, and that's where you step in with a solution of offering your accommodation to doctors and nurses. So you have to get your properties listed with the local NHS trust. If you find out who that is, find out who the accommodation officer is within the local NHS trust and get your property listed, and you will get doctors and nurses will come and stay with you. Now they are fantastic because they're happy to share apartments or houses. So if you've got like a 2-3 bedroom apartment or a 4-5 bed house, they will each take a room each. You can charge per person, and therefore you can really maximize on the revenue you can bring in from that particular property. So I really recommend focusing on the local hospitals. Now, tip number 2 are the locum agencies. Locum agencies are where the doctors and nurses will be provided out to the local hospitals. So these agencies are there specifically to work with doctors and nurses and place them into hospitals. These locum agencies are throughout the UK. You need to find out which ones will be covering your particular area and get your properties listed with those locum agencies. Okay, tip number 3 is focusing on what we call insurance loss adjusters. These loss adjusters are there to work on behalf of the insurance companies. So if your boiler breaks down at home or you have a flood and you need to move out of your property for a period of time, you're going to need to go into temporary housing. Loss adjusters will find that temporary housing for you. You, as the service accommodation supplier, can offer that temporary housing solution. So you need to get your properties listed with loss adjusters. And if you do a Google search, you're going to see a whole range of loss adjusters, and there are loss adjusting agencies that are there to work on behalf of loss adjusters. So you can get your properties listed with loss adjusting agencies as well as loss adjusters as well. Tip number 4 are theatres. We're moving into pantomime season. Oh yes, we are. And what I recommend that you do is get your properties listed with the local theatre. Not necessarily for the people that are going to be coming in to watch the show, although you could offer that out to guests, but more for the cast and the crew that are going to be staying and working within the local area, within that local theatre. So they will be looking for accommodation right now. So I really do recommend that you go out there and you find the local theatres and you make them aware that you have accommodation that can be offered to them. They're going to want places where they can do their own bit of cooking and stuff like that. So service departments, service accommodation is perfect for the local theatres and the cast and the crew that are coming in to stay within those areas. Tip number 5 is focusing in on the Christmas markets. So in your local area, there will be the German or the Christmas market that's going to take place. Now, again, it could be that you are offering that out to your database in terms of to get guests to come back and stay, but I'm talking about here the stall holders. The actual guys that are setting up and working on those stalls day in, day out. They need accommodation. They travel all the time with their products and they need somewhere to stay. So if you can provide the accommodation for them, you can offer a great solution. Again, they typically like to have rooms which are kind of 2, 3, 4 bedroom because they are quite happy sharing those types of properties. So I really recommend you focusing on the local town centre manager to find out who the contact would be, or if you do a Google search on German markets or Christmas markets, there's a whole range of different lists on Google where you'll be able to get that information together. Okay, tip number 5 is focusing in on your local estate agents and letting agents. So with estate agents, you can have people that are in between moving house And that typically happens this time of year because a lot of people want to try and get in for Christmas, but that doesn't always quite work. So sometimes people need a temporary housing solution, and you as the accommodation provider can provide that for them. So tip number 5, I recommend to focus on the estate agents and make them aware that you offer short-term serviced accommodation. Likewise with letting agents, they will get a lot of inquiries for people that are looking for short-term lets, and your typical letting agent are not going to be offering short-term lets. But you can offer that as part of their service. You can offer your properties to the local letting agent. They can list your property on their Zoopla and Rightmove accounts for you, and any inquiries that they receive, they can pass over to you. And if it turns to a booking, you can then give them some commission, maybe 10% or whatever you want to negotiate, or maybe some vouchers. But it's a great way for the local letting or estate agent to earn a bit of extra cash, especially as they go into the quieter times as well, by offering your property out, which is something they don't currently offer. So I definitely recommend to do that. Okay, moving on now to tip number 7, I recommend that you focus in on the Chamber of Commerce. The local Chamber of Commerce will know what new shops are opening up, what new retail outlets are opening up within your area, what businesses are coming into the area that may need accommodation for set projects that are taking place. So the local shop fitter, for the local shop that's going to need the shop fitters coming in, they're not going to necessarily be local, they're going to be looking for accommodation. So you can find out from the local town centre manager or local Chamber of Commerce exactly who that person is that you need to speak to. So I recommend that you do that as well. Now, I'm not suggesting with all these tips that you do every single one every single day, but just build them in as part of your marketing strategy throughout the weeks and throughout the coming months, okay? We are going to be going into that low season. Property is absolute make or break now, okay, when it comes to cash flow and your property. So you've got to make sure you're bringing in the revenue, and the way to bring the revenue in, you've got to keep promoting your property all the time within the local area. Don't just sit back and wait for booking.com or Airbnb to give you those bookings, okay? When we go into the quieter months, you need to go beyond just relying on booking.com and Airbnb. That would be my recommendation to you. So the final one on the local basis, which is tip number 8, is looking at the local corporates, the local companies. Again, it's going to take time. You're about building up the brand awareness. Just make them aware that you're there, that you offer accommodation. You can do that through LinkedIn. You can do that by going and visit the local business parks, introduce yourself, maybe take a nice little A5 flyer of what you offer with a link onto your properties. Again, it's all about a solution that you can provide to these local companies, local businesses. Make them aware of who you are is what I really encourage you to do. Okay, moving on now to tip number 9 is very much focused on booking.com, because booking.com is the big driver when it comes to guests booking your properties. You know that, but are you really using the booking.com platform to the best of its ability? So I really encourage you to focus in on your prices, tweak your rates. If you tweak the rates, you will definitely see an increase in bookings. It works through the algorithms of Airbnb and booking.com, and they will rank you higher if you start tweaking your rates, change the description slightly, change the photo slightly. It's all going to help with the algorithm. So you must build in on a weekly basis to be able to be tweaking the different platforms that you're listed on, whether that's HomeAway, booking.com, Airbnb. And then at the same time with booking.com, use their Genius program. Genius guests are their direct guests that stay through their platform. They encourage you to offer good deals to them. Use that. I really do encourage you. Give them a slightly higher discounted rate, because you will see more of an influx of bookings coming through that way. And at the same time, use the non-refundable rates to get guests to book in and stay now in January. The more guests you can stay in January now, it's going to make it easier when you go into January. Is what I really recommend that you do. And then finally, use your database. Get information out to your guests that have stayed with you previously, that you're here, that you offer really good rates for guests that want to book in the quieter times. Encourage them to come and stay by offering them what's taking place in your local area, the local theatre or the local German market that's taking place, etc. Really work that the best you possibly can. And that's what I recommend that you do. So I hope my 10 tips have been useful to you. I encourage you to put them into place now. It's all about maximising your revenue as much as you possibly can. Please share where you're up to, any other tips that you got. Please list below in the comments. I'd love to know where you are with your business, and I wish you all the best.